Today we're out and about with the Viltrox 35 1.7 Z Mount DX lens.
DX lens for Z mounts, 35mm 1.7.
That's right, that's the one.
It's a Viltrox. We expect good thing about it at a good price. So let's find out and tell you all about it.
Yes, we will. Okay, and I'm just testing how fast or slow the autofocus is when I push it from very close to far away.
Very scientific, Becky.
This is what I'm going to do. Tree is, what, a meter away? So tree, distance.
Becky.
Took almost a full second.
A full second?
Almost. For normal use, it's totally fine. If you're just going from sort of objects that are within a reasonable distance, not pushing it to the extremes like I was just doing, then it's fine. I went from there we go, bush to infinity. It's really quick.
That's right. On our channel, we only do extreme testing.
I like to test it in the most extreme circumstances so that everyone knows what's happening.
All right, so what are you doing here?
So right now I'm just focusing on, there's a dewdrop that I've got my eye on. It's very pretty. All right, now I'm gonna, that was there. So now I'm gonna get really close and I'm gonna shoot at 1.7 just to see if I can really blow out the background. Let's just see how this bokeh is looking. Ooh, lovely. So shooting at the closest focusing distance, lots of detail, very nice and sharp. Nice depth of field as well. I mean, 1.7, so it's not, we're not playing with like a 1.2 or anything like that. And also it's a 35, which means it's about a 53mm lens, something like that, once we do our mathematical conversion. So really, really nice for throwing in some close-up in there.
All right, let's talk about specifications a little bit. So 180 grams, that's fairly light. You can see it's fairly compact as well. You've got 11 elements in 9 groups. 1 ED element, 1 aspherical, 2 high refractive lenses in there as well, which is quite interesting. 9 diaphragm blades for that dreamy bokeh, very useful. But the most important thing, it's got autofocus built in at 139 pounds with a metal mount. It's again another bargain from Viltrox. Keep in mind, it's a DX lens, so it will give you a roughly 50mm equivalent on your DX cameras. And if you put it on a full frame camera like we use now, then your camera will automatically go to the crop mode and then obviously won't use the full frame sensor.
So don't do what we do, folks.
Exactly.
Use a DX camera.
And use it there and it's going to be absolutely nice. So it's a nifty 50 for the prices we used to pay for proper Nikon lenses in F-mount days. But let's use the lens like most of the people are going to use, not for macro use, but just for general photography from mid-distance to infinity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test the autofocus speed. So I'm going to be a mythbuster and tell you that autofocus speed is actually pretty good. So what I'm doing is I'm focusing on that tree over here, which is about, 2 meters away from me. And then those bushes at the back, which effectively 20 meters away, so the lens will focus at infinity. So overall, for general use, indoors use, you name it, street use, autofocus is pretty good. I don't think it's any different from something like 16-50 lens or 24mm 1.7 lens from Nikon. All right, let's talk just quickly about build quality. It feels fairly robust. Viltrox doesn't really publish any weather ceilings or anything, but we've been shooting for about an hour under a light drizzling rain. It's got little droplets on top. It's fine. It's fine. It does the job. I probably wouldn't use it under heavy rain, and I just would use caution and common sense really when using this type of lenses. But the lens has a metal mount, and what's interesting here, it's got a USB port right at the mount itself, so you can upgrade a firmware of the lens in the future, maybe when Nikon releases a new update and suddenly it breaks compatibility or something like this. So we assume that Viltrox hopefully will release the firmware update to improve on that. So, and then you can do this by plugging a USB-C port. It's a standard USB-C port, so, and connect it to the computer and uploading the firmware. In our previous Viltrox lens reviews, we mentioned that the lens hood doesn't click, and it doesn't click on this lens as well, but it actually feels quite sturdy there, so it's not going to move around if you accidentally knock it or anything, so you still need to apply a bit of force to remove it.
After you told me that the focusing was not that slow, and now you're shooting some close-up stuff over here.
Yeah,
What's your
okay,
verdict?
I see what you mean now. So anything from close focusing distance, even let's say to this window, because the distance here is probably a meter or something, it's very, very slow, it takes a whole second. But actually once you pass that and you go to infinity, so for anything from about 1.5, 2 meters to infinity, it's absolutely fine. It becomes like a normal lens. So,
You were just trying to gaslight me. I wasn't wrong.
the word of the day, gaslight. Okay, Beck, so we've shot with this lens now a variety of things, a macro, a micro, a close-up, and a bit of portraiture.
And
so
some general stuff.
Yeah, here and there, in between the macro.
And the rain.
And the rain. But what do you think about the image quality so far?
Really sharp, wide open, unexpectedly so. I think that we have a tendency to equate cheaper lenses with low quality, and I don't think that that's particularly the case with this one. It has a lot of glass going for it. It has a lot of extra coatings which help handle things like chromatic aberration. I have seen that it's very sharp, wide open, which I like. So when I was doing my close-up stuff, I was very impressed with that. And I think that you can't really go wrong for about £140 for a fully autofocus lens.
Well, that's the thing. When the price is that, we can't really compare it to, let's say, 31.2 that just came out at £3,000, you know, which is extremely sharp, wide open. This is not going to be sharp at 1.7. It's designed like more of a traditional lens. It's going to be fairly soft with a bit of vignetting, fully wide open, and then you definitely see an improvement at f2 and 2.8. However, 9 diaphragm blades give you a nice bokeh. So in terms of just portraiture use, I think the images are really nice. And if you're not comparing it to, let's say, £500–600 lens, it's actually an amazing value for money for what you get. So if a 50mm, because it's a DX equivalent of 50mm, is something that you don't want to use all the time, but you want to keep in your bag, I think this is definitely a very good choice. But keep in mind, yes, you're going to get a bit of softness in the corners, you're going to get a bit of vignetting, which kind of disappears at around the 4. Everything else is good. So sometimes it works for the images, sometimes it don't. Like vignetting is not going to work for landscape, let's say, but you're going to shoot at f11, so you won't see it.
That's right. And I think, as you say, it disappears around f4, 5.6, so it's not so much of a deal breaker anyway. And we like a bit of vignette when we're shooting wide open.
Yeah, in terms of chromatic aberrations, I think it's there wide open, but again, it's kind of disappears at around something 2.8 or 4, so you should be generally fine.
I would say that if you're using it on a more modern DX camera as well, it does work with eye recognition. So the autofocus does pick up people's faces and eyes, which is a great addition. We used to have it where non-Nikon lenses wouldn't be compatible with those features, and these newer lenses are, which is great as well. So I would add that if you are a DX user and you need something that's around the 50mm range, we don't have anything quite like that from Nikon yet, so this one's worth having a look at. Thank you very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this Viltrox video. And thank you very much to Viltrox for sending it to us.
If you found this video useful, there's a like and subscribe button over there. But if you found it super useful, there's super thanks button as well. Hit it if you can.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.